This is the Oz report for August 3rd, 2024, and we're going to start with Plex and Plex adjacent items. I have been gone for 3 weeks, so it's been 3 weeks since the last Oz report. So what I'm covering today is essentially what happened last month, as opposed to what happened last week, as I usually do. Right? If we look at Plex, Plex prices are still really high, and while we did have some offline sales or some real cash store sales and some New Eden store sales while I was gone, nothing has really changed about the overall trajectory of Plex. There isn't a lot of Plex in the market, and Plex prices keep rising. So that's not great if you are skill farming. That is not great if you are trying to cover your subscription by buying Plex and not by using real cash. And so overall, you can be sure CCP has a very close eye on this, and I think they're getting a little bit nervous right about now. Now, looking at skill extractors, while I was gone, there was I believe a 20% sale on skill extractors, and you can see that has a significant effect on skill extractor prices. It went from almost 600 million to right now 520, 530. Now, that on the other hand has a very positive effect on skill farming, meaning it is cheaper to skill farm, and therefore it should, in the long term, have a downward effect on large skill injectors. Speaking of large skill injectors, we continue to see a drop in large skill injector prices in the mid to long-term trend graph here. All right. We had a high in April, May of around 930 million for a large skill injector. We're now quite significantly below 900. What are we at? We're in JITA at like 880, 890 for large skill injectors. All of that can be translated into a skill farming profit of about 200 million per account per month. All right. That doesn't sound like a lot, but if you consider the fact that that is the profit not taking advantage of any abnormal sales, then you can see that skill farming overall is still profitable in the current environment. And that just means that more and more people are going to start skill farms, and you're going to see more large skill injectors hitting the market. And I do think that in the mid to long term, we're going to continue to see large skill injector prices drop. We can see that in the skill extractor market, where we had a very, very overheated market before this last sale, right? At almost 600. That's a very high price of skill extractors, right? But now it's in a more healthy state, but immediately this is a better environment again for skill farmers. One absolutely crazy thing we have to talk about this week is the Master at Arms Cerebral Accelerators, or the MACAs, as I'm going to be calling them from now on because that name is way too long. So the MACAs, they are approaching 90 million again. Guys, what the hell are you doing? This doesn't make any sense. At 90 million, this means that you're paying almost 2,000 ISK per skill point, all right? There's an item in the New Eden store called, I don't want to get these wrong, but they're called Boost Cerebral Accelerators. They come in different shapes and sizes, okay? If you translate your ISK into Plex and then you go and buy those, you're paying 20 to 30% less per skill point at a higher quality of life, all right? You should not be buying the MACAs, okay? Stop buying the MACAs. It doesn't make sense. Even though I love when you buy the MACAs, because I am a producer of MACAs, right? Because I recruit a lot of players into this game, and as a reward I get, you guessed it, Master at Arms Cerebral Accelerators, right? So while you're making me a lot of money, and that's great, you know, my heart bleeds when you're making less than optimal decisions, economically speaking, in Evoline. So don't buy Master at Arms Cerebral Accelerators. Don't buy MACAs. Go into the New Eden store and buy the Boost Cerebral Accelerators. If, by the way, if you're 50 million and under, you might as well buy large skill injectors. Because at the current price, large skill injectors are about the same cost per SP if you're 50 million and under as these are. And on these, you have to wait. Right? It all doesn't make any sense. But at someday we'll understand. Now, let's go and look at material prices overall that I want to talk about. And for that, we're going to go here to our sweet little dashboard, right? Now, remember, this is not the trend this week. It's a trend since about a month ago. Now, raw moon material prices down 10%. This is clearly, most of these are R4 and R8 moon materials, but some of the higher ones also have dropped quite significantly. But overall, this is the advent of Metanox moon mining, passive moon mining coming into EVE Online. There's more and more systems being outfit for them, more Metanox moon drills being built. And that means that more moon materials are hitting the system in the long run. At least you're reducing the effort it takes to introduce at least the lower quality moon materials. And so you're seeing that here. 10% drop is very, very significant, right? Even if we're looking at at like a 3-week or something span here, this is definitely significant. All right. Now, minerals, on the other hand, minerals are up 5%, right? And they're now trading at 10% over 52-week average. So that is also significant. We can see that the changes that Equinox has brought to nullsec, so nullsec alliances being more in charge of what minerals they are producing in their space, they haven't had the effect that would drop things like isogen or things like megasite significantly enough to make an impact on the average basic mineral pricing, right? Those are up 5% this month, and they're overall trading above 52-week average. In total, though, if we look at ship pricing over the last month, right? If we look at ship pricing right here, we can see that almost all ship categories have dropped 3% or more, right? So starting with capitals, and clearly that is a knock-on effect from 10% cheaper raw moon materials, right? Raw moon materials are the main ingredients in all T2 ships, and those are the most popular class. You can see that raw moon materials are also the highest raw material in daily ISK traded, albeit just a tiny bit ahead of basic minerals. So that's a big deal. ICE products, ICE is up 5%. Could also be because things like Metanox moon drills require fuel blocks, but things also, production requires fuel blocks. A lot of things require fuel blocks. So overall, the demand for ICE products is quite healthy. Planetary commodities, I mean, you need them for SOV hubs. You need them for anything related to structures, and they're up 4%. Lots of demand for planetary commodities, so they're trading 5% above 52-week average. So very, very healthy demand there as well. Gas continues to be, dismal demand since they have been removed completely from subcap faction ships. And so gas cloud materials now at 68% of 52-week average, very, very low, and down another 4% this month. So there's, it looks like it's hit the bottom, but it's not going to recover until either the other components here make capital production more viable than it is today, or until gas clouds are introduced as another ingredient to something else in EVE Online. Abyssal materials, we've seen them drop radically in the last few weeks and months. It looks like they have finally hit bottom. They actually increased on average 5% over the last month. So they have hit rock bottom. A lot of the Triglavian ships are super cheap, but we're now actually seeing the end of that slump right there, and probably, not going to see a big increase on things unless we have another meta shift, but at least they have bottomed out. So possibly a good buy at this point. All right. What else did I want to mention overall? Let's see in my notes here. One of the highest price changes in Eve. Let me change back to the game client here. If we look at things that are trending up, we look at nanofactories. Nanofactories are a P4 planetary commodity. Prices have risen sharply, also because these are needed in solve hubs. Right. This is very significant. This is not the only one, but the planetary commodity that of the ones that are traded highly, that rose the sharpest by almost 20% this month. So this is quite significant. If we're looking at agency boosters, that's another very, very interesting thing this month. If we look at things that are trending up, look at the prices for Pyrolantia boosters. Dose 1 through the roof, dose 3 through the roof, dose 4 through the roof. These are not as obtainable as they used to be. Part of it is fewer events giving them out. Part of it is daily login rewards not giving them out. So there's just fewer of them in the game, and the demand is still there, and so prices are increasing sharply. I think I'm speculating here, but these prices are too high. I don't think at this point they're a good investment anymore, because frankly, there's something that CCP has to do, because these are very popular. These are getting out of hand, the prices for them. And unless there's a strategy to just have fewer of them in the game and thereby changing the meta significantly, what you're essentially doing this is you're putting an ISK premium on that little bit of the little edge of performance, right? So some people are not going to care. They're going to continue buying them. But for newbies or cash-strapped capsuleers, these are going to be unobtainable soon. And so it's a big question of, do you want that gap or not? But this is quite significant, especially on the Pyrolantia side. And then if you look at what's trending down, the big one here is Stormbringers. All right, this is the story of a patch and an item. Right, Stormbringers were one of the ships that were being taken advantage of when you had immediate respawn timers. Right. This was the new ratting meta for a few weeks, and then immediately that was fixed, quote unquote, and now that initial spike is coming back down hard. So you can see that market impact there on Stormbringers quite significantly. And another thing that is basically gone from the market, if you look at short supply, or the biggest drop in the largest drop in supply, you can see here siege modules. So siege modules overall have what is it here? 66% of their supply wiped out. All right. So siege modules are a module for dreads, a high slot module for dreads that puts them in siege mode, and this dropping by 66% would be a very good indicator of there being higher demand for them. Dread battles happening, dread battles on the horizon. It's a good sign when siege modules are being bought up. And that wraps up the Oz report for August 3rd, 2024. And we're going to return to the regular stream, and I'll see you guys next week.